Yeah, that's a cool lizard. Wow.
Got another herp.
I love Delma. They're one of my favourite lizards.
Look at his nose. Definitely blinds me.
Yeah, I can see its eyes.
Got a Burtons legless lizard here.
First crevice I shine my torch into.
You always find albinos. No fun on that one.
Got it to notice, Bert.
Woo! But look at how small he is. And this one's huge.
It's a big one. A tin spot is like striking gold for a herp.
Horner's dragon.
A Burton's legless lizard.
And a stores monitor. Great find. Winter herping. It may sound like an oxymoron to some, kind of like icy hot. But hey, we'll just see about that now, won't we? Some nice aerial views heading over Mount Isa and into Calcadoon country.
So after a 2-hour flight, we've finally arrived in Mount Isa and we're getting ready for a week of solid rock lifting to try and locate some reptile species for us to photograph.
So excited! Woo! So Mount Isa is a mining town in Outback, Australia, with a population of about 20,000 people. There's a Switzerland-owned company called Glencore, which mines copper, zinc, silver, and lead. But we're, of course, interested in what's out bush. So let the adventures begin. The region is mostly arid and rocky, with low mesa hills covered with small tussock grasses, shrubs, white-barked eucalyptus trees, and an abundance of spinifex grass.
Active. So we've got something to photograph.
Not bad.
Yeah.
Only been here, what, a half hour? Straight off the plane?
Yeah, so that's awesome. And I think it's a new species for me. Okay, so this is really cool. We did not expect to find this here. What here is a little rusty-topped Delma. So the scientific name is Delma borea. And normally we get these guys crossing roads at night. Well, that's how I've usually found them most of the time. This guy just happened to flip the right rock. He was curled up underneath. And being winter here in Mount Isa, most of the reptiles are going to be undercover. They're not going to be out cruising around. Even though the daytime highs get to about 25 degrees, it's really cooling off at night time. But this guy here is pretty cool. I love Delma. They're one of my favourite lizard species. Now, he's a legless lizard, so no legs. What's amazing about Delma is the length of their tail. So his body ends right here, and all the rest of this is tail. I'll try and untangle this tail just to show you how impressive the length of that tail is. So the tail is roughly 4 times the length of the body. And that's pretty amazing. You only see that generally in our legless lizards. Now he's called a rusty colour because the colour of his body, he is a bit of a rusty colour there. And like many Delma, they've got little head markings, little darkened head markings there. And if you ask me, this is probably a little bit of mimicry, because the other thing that has these little dark head markings in Australia is juvenile brown snakes. So they're probably trying to look a little bit like juvenile browns. Of course, to the well-trained eye, they look completely different. Now these guys are related to geckos. And although they don't look much like a gecko, they do only lay 2 eggs per clutch, just like our geckos do. Now, if you saw him in the bush, you might think he's a snake, because he's got no snake-like in appearance. There's 2 things that tell us clearly he's not a snake. First of all, he has a visible ear opening. It's probably pretty hard to see on a Delma of this size, pretty small, but tiny little ear openings there on the back of his head. Now, if he flicks his tongue in and out, no forked tongue. He's got a broad, fleshy tongue, just like many other skink lizards do have. Quite an amazing animal, guys. Now, he normally eats small insects. To be honest, we don't see a lot of natural behaviour with Delma because they're very hard to observe in the wild. Most of the ones I find, they're crossing a road at night, usually going from A to B. This guy, he's overwintering at the moment. So we will let this guy go at one point. We're going to put him back under the rock that we found him under, but that's a really good find for this winter trip here to Mount Isa. It's time for our little Delma friend to go back where he came from. So we found the rock that we originally found him under, and I'm just going to put him down here, and he should hopefully see a nice place to hide and go in straight away.
Okay, I've just turned this rock up, and it's not a herp, but it is a redback spider. So these ones are quite painful. There is an anti-venom for redback spider bites. Quite expensive because it takes a lot of venom and you don't get much per spider, but really effective for reducing the pain from these guys. And we wouldn't want to be bitten by it. I'll put it back where it was. There you go. See what else we find. We've got another herp. Just turned this big rock right here, and he was curled up under here. And he's a dragon lizard. He's just sitting like this because he's cold.
Yeah, he'll liven up soon enough. All right, but that's cool. That's good.
They are distinguished from the Gilbert's dragon, Legless gilberti, by this little white dot inside their ear on their tympanum membrane, that exposed membrane there. Now, a couple cool things about this lizard. So it's a really quick lizard, and you can tell by the way it's just designed with these long legs. It can go quick, and we can attest to that. They do have a hard bite. This one's a female. It's only bitten us once. Males will probably bite us a lot more often. They've got this really long tail. A lot of dragon lizards, agamids, have long tails. And at the base of the tail, if they've got a really thick base, that's a good sign it's in really good health because it's got good fat stores. So this female's in pretty good condition. And they eat things like cockroaches and grasshoppers, any moving insects. And they like the sort of open forest area. There's rocks around where they can hide away from predators, but also be able to see their prey, little insects. Okay, so now it's time to release her under the rock where I initially found her, and we'll put her right under cover so she's not exposed to aerial predators or whatnot. So it's just this rock here where I found her. Let's hope she goes right underneath. Let's push her underneath. There we go. Awesome. So hopefully she has a long and successful life and has lots of eggs and babies. Yeah, I definitely need a break. It's only been 2 hours and I'm exhausted.
Yeah, but we've lifted in excess of 500 rocks, so
Yeah. Put in
that was
some
good
good time.
effort.
Yeah, got a couple things. So here we go next time.
And yeah, we got herb, so success.
Okay, we just turned this bit of plywood here and found this cute little Dunnart. We're not sure the species, we'll have to look it up. But have a look at his really thick tail and his really cute little paws. And it is so soft. But I'm holding him carefully because these things can actually bite pretty hard, and they've got sharp teeth and little pointy nose. Look at his nose. Okay, so we're gonna release him. Okay, I'll show you where his little hole was. Oh, you're right there.
Yep.
Go on, buddy.
Yep. If he runs, that's it, he'll be fine. If he runs a rough, we might grab him. Alright, beautiful. So there was something under that.
Alright, so we've got a Burtons legless lizard here. We've been driving for about an hour, weren't sure if we're going to see anything, but look, even on a bad herping night when you don't get much, you generally at least get a Burtons. Check out the size of this Burtons legless lizard. It's definitely one of the larger Burtons legless lizards I've come across. Now, keeping in mind, it's got a regenerated tail. Okay, you can see quite clearly there where the tail has been shed because the pattern and the colour is quite a bit different. Now, the regenerated tail, never as long as the original. So this animal with an original tail would have been another 2 lengths of the lizard again. So we're
talking a pretty big legless lizard. Probably Australia's largest legless lizard, maybe only second to the scaly foot. We do think it may actually be a gravid female. Now, just like the Delma earlier, these ones only lay 2 eggs. So they're just related to geckos like the Delma is. Although I don't know if this time of year if it would actually be gravid with eggs. Now, what's pretty specialised about the Burtons legless lizard is the diet. Now, this animal exclusively eats other lizards. Mainly small skinks, they probably take the odd gecko too, but these guys are not interested in insects at all. It's got to be a lizard. If it's a lizard and it's small enough for them to eat, they'll certainly go for it. Now, the jaws are pretty specialised to hold on to a slippery skink. You think about it, skinks covered in scales, it's a perfectly smooth surface, pretty hard to get hold of and stay hold of. So what this guy does, clamps this specialised jaw down on the skink, it cannot get away. And you can see these Burtons legless lizards are easily recognisable by the pointed snout. So although this looks a lot like a snake, really that head is a dead giveaway that this is in fact a Burtons legless lizard. Now, the other pretty cool thing about Burtons legless lizards, guys, they're very common. However, no two look the same. They come in an amazing range of colours and patterns. Quite amazing. So I've photographed probably 20 different Burtons legless lizards in my time. I've got 20 different looking animals. Now you can actually see starting to lick there. Now, the tongue of the Burtons legless lizard is quite specialised. It's actually partially bifurcated or forked like a snake's tongue. Very, very unusual tongue there. And what that lizard's doing, by licking its face, it's actually cleaning itself. They will generally lick the eyes, they clean their eyelids, or their eye spectacle scale, I should say. But yeah, truly an amazing animal.
Jeez, it's massive. Being such a large centipede, it would probably cause severe stinging pain if you were bitten by it.
Yeah, he's a monster. He'd hurt you. I've never seen one with that black head before.
Yeah, that was interesting. I haven't seen that one.
Yeah, I've seen that same body colour, but not, but normally with a reddish coloured head.
There's a different centipede here. It's got blue legs.
Blue-legged one.
Yeah, you want to see it? Okay, ready? It's under this rock here.
Yeah.
1, 2. Look at that.
Oh, yeah.
We think this species is the blue-legged centipede, Rhycida nuda, and I've seen them a lot in Weipa, and we've also seen quite a few of them in the Brigalow area.
Yeah, but
it's so hard when you don't find anything. You try all morning for hours.
Yeah, well, it just goes to show how lucky we were to get that Delma. And yeah, to get the Delma and the dragon lizard.
Yeah. In the first day. We didn't get anything today. It looked bad. Okay, here's like the babiest little bi-nose gecko you've ever seen. I turned a rock and it was underneath. Just come out of the egg. Really common species basically everywhere we go. You always find a bi-nose. And there's a bit of variation across depending on where you are. There's some really cool ones on Magnetic Island. But yeah, this one just seems to be a bit of a common one. Cool little tiger-like tail on the end there. I'll put him back under the same rock. Here he's a little cutie though. Gosh, it looks like a worm. It's a blind snake. It's definitely a blind snake.
Yeah, I can see its eyes.
Holy. And then he's got that little spike on the end of the tail.
Yeah, it's also small. Like the dimensions, yeah, are so small.
Jeez.
Wow.
This is going to be hard to identify. My goodness. Is he funking you?
He's probably too small to produce a decent funk.
Yeah.
Remember that 70 centimetre thing that almost made us vomit?
Underneath the sheet. Yeah.
Alright, we've got something really small.
Yeah.
Popping in though.
Sitting just under there.
Yeah, that's a cool find.
That's super cool.
Yeah, I mean, blind snakes aren't the most exciting thing, but it's definitely a new species for me.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, me too.
You know, I'm used to the East Coast ones.
And he's so small. Is he putting out his tongue yet? Oh my gosh, look at him.
When I looked at it, it just looked too shiny to be a worm.
Yeah.
And lucky, it was about to dive. It was about to go under, I only just got him.
The cool thing about blind snakes is that they eat the larvae of ants. So plenty of them around, so there's probably plenty of blind snakes. They're really hard to identify, so oftentimes you need to look at the facial scales and also count the mid-body scales around the whole body. They don't have ventral scales like typical snakes. It's just a bunch of mid-body scales, so it is really hard to identify them sometimes. And if you're a blind snake, your worst enemy is a bandy snake. They specifically target blind snakes, and in fact there was a really cool study by Matt Greenless and Rick Shine that showed that bandies follow the musk or the odor emitted by blind snakes specifically, rather than other snakes. So they target these guys, and that's their primary food source. So these guys, they're fossorial, so you'll find them just under rocks or underground. So they rarely come out, but in the rain, when they can't breathe, if the soil's saturated, you might see them crossing the road. If you were wondering how praying mantises reproduce, well, here is one of its egg sacs. You see them around the place, and occasionally you see a heap of praying mantises hanging out on top of it and around the immediate vicinity. There you go.
First crevice I shine my torch into, I can see the tail right there. Yes, that's a really promising sign to have found a monitor within the first 10 minutes of being here. But unfortunately this guy, we just can't get to him. His hiding spot's well protected there. So we'll keep looking in some of the more outlying areas, and hopefully we can come across one that hasn't got such a amazing defense. What have you got?
Look.
Oh wow!
It's an Aki!
Oh wow!
Look it! Oh my gosh, it's delightful. It is so small. So this is a Ridgetail monitor, Varanus acanthoris. Called that because it's got this ridge on its tail. So it's almost triangular here. Spiky tail, so that inside the rocks it's hard to extract them. Any predators can't really get to them. So they love these low rocky outcrops here where we've just found actually on a rock that's sitting on soil, so not rock on rock, but we did see one in the crack of a rock. Oh my gosh, this is the best. So of course, monitor lizards, we've got a range of 30 species in Australia, ranging from 20 centimeters to 2.4 meters with the parenti. But yeah, this is one of the small ones. I suspect it's a female and that it's not overly brightly colored. But there's another species here, the Stores monitor, and Varanus story. And some ways to tell them apart are these white lines on the neck here that continue down on the acanthoris, and also that ridge shape to the tail, whereas the other one is more round-like. Looks like it's got a pretty nice habitat here. This is a pretty spectacular place, really. But look at how small he is. Super cute. Awesome. And he's got these nice ocelli on the back, the pattern. Look at, she's all cold because it's winter, but a lot easier to catch than if they've got a lot of juice and heat in them. We'll put her back in the same rock where we got her. Her little home. Come on, little you. Make sure it's positioned in the same way I got it. Okay, I have to release her on this side, because this is where her little hole is. Okay, look at her go. Oh, that's great. Go on, keep going. Cool. Nice and safe. Away from any of the aerial predators. Great find. One thing that's really important when turning rocks and looking for critters is to not disturb the habitat. and to put it back how you found it. So this is one example of people not doing that. They've made a can here, stacked rocks, so I'm going to unstack these, and yeah, not a good idea. Don't do this. Where the rocks are and how they are creates microhabitat underneath them, and habitat for lots of different reptiles and even small little mammals too. So stacking them up isn't very helpful for their purposes. That was a good find.
I don't know if it's...
Look at
No, it can't be robustus. Not with an orange head like that. Yeah, that's a really nice Tenotus. Look at that. Look at the orange head. But yeah, that's a cool lizard. Wow.
Good fun on that one.
Got a Tenotus, Bert.
Woo!
Good one.
Gosh, they're so quick too.
Good job. Team effort.
Yeah.
You can imagine, like, at temperature, forget it.
Oh, if he's on the cruise, it was only because he was under that rock.
We finally managed to catch up with one of the rockets of the skink world. This little guy here is a Tenotus skink. Now, there's about 100 odd species of these lizards in Australia, and to work out exactly which one, we're going to have to look at some diagnostics to determine that. So species yet to be determined, but these skinks occupy pretty much all of Australia, and normally you just see a quick flash as they disappear. They are one of the fastest lizards in the country. Now this little guy here, he was just alighting around the rocks and the spinifex. It's still fairly early in the morning, quite cool. That gave us half a chance of actually getting some hands on and having a little bit of a look at him. Now these little skinks here are a very important part of the ecosystem, mainly because there's a lot of different kinds of reptiles that feed on these animals here. Particularly the whip snakes, the Demansia species of snakes, really love to chase and eat skinks. So they're very important, very common. As I said, we've seen about half a dozen on this trip, but this is the first one we've actually got to get up nice and close to. So we're going to release him back under his rock, which is right here. We always find it pretty important to put the animal back exactly where we found it, and that way he knows where he is. I'm going to put him down here. I'm just going to release there. Here we go. Nice and slow, nice and gentle. Awesome.
So with plenty of rocky outcrops around, it's always good fun to see what's living in the cracks. Here we can just see the back end of a gecko. It's Gehyra robusta. Some serious cool rocks here. Look at all the layers of this one. Africa. Some more interesting rock shapes here at Mount Ida.
Well, we're still in this area with these low rock outcroppings, and we've just caught our second ridgetail monitor. We normally think of ridgetail monitors living in these big block rock outcrops deep in the crevices, but these guys seem to be doing really well here. Now, something cool about monitors that you may not know, they do carry some similarities to snakes. One of the main things, and the most obvious things, is the forked tongue. So he's got a forked tongue just like a snake, and the monitor lizards are the only lizards with a true forked tongue. The other thing is that these lizards are technically venomous. Now it's more pronounced in things like the Komodo dragon, some of our tree monitors, but a lot of research in recent years has definitely proved to us that these animals do carry venom. They actually have a small venom gland located in the bottom jaw along the gum line there. Now, of course, no fangs in this guy. Pretty simple delivery method. They simply chew on a prey item. That chewing motion squeezes the gums, and hopefully some of that toxin will enter the wound there. But of course, these little insect eating guys probably aren't using venom much these days. Now, he's probably only about a third grown. So ridgetail monitors get to about 80 centimeters in length. So I'd class them as a medium size sort of a monitor. All right, we'll continue the search and see what else we can find in this particular area.
Here's an assassin bug. They're venomous, and they actually have two venom glands. One for defense and one for predation. And they can control which one they want to release the venom from, depending on the situation. So a friend and colleague of mine, Andy Walker, found that out. Good on him. There's a few of these warning signs about illegal dumping, but counterintuitively, we're actually trying to find some sites because it's a good place to find herp. Oh yeah, this is a good find.
It is, yeah.
Ooh. A lot of options here. Gotta love a good bit of tin. Here's a long skinny one, and have a look. There's this really cool burrow system under here. Coming from here and going into a little divot there. So there's nothing there now, but you can see that something's used it. It's like a little tail trail here. So I'll put this back exactly where it was to preserve its system here. So we didn't find something there that time, but maybe the next bit of tin. Alright, cool find here. A central Ridgetail Dragon, Amphibolurus centralis. This one is a female. We've gotten a male in the past and they look quite different. The males on their crest is more prominent. She's got a cool spike just behind her tympanum here, which helps distinguish them from another dragon lizard that looks similar to them. She's got this beautiful pattern along her back and extending down to the tail. Really long tail, hence the Ridgetail Dragon. But a really cool find, and you won't believe where I got this lizard. It was found right here under this tin. Doesn't look like much after turning all these beautiful rocks in wonderful landscapes and a lot of the time not getting anything. Go to a tin and find this awesome lizard underneath it. So I'll put her back right here and hopefully she just stays underneath there. Here we go. Ooh, they are great lizards. He's in between the tin. Look, I turned this the other day and didn't see him.
Right.
There he is.
We can leave him now.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to photograph it.
How do you like them apples?
Amazing. A tin spot is like striking gold for a herp. And we've got some reasonable pieces of tin here. And there you go, Acanthurus monitor, ridgetail monitor, just sitting in between the fold of the tin. Amazing.
That's our fourth one, actually.
Yeah.
So they must be pretty common. Lots of birds in Mount Isa too. eBird lists over 250 species. Like this spinifex pigeon, gorgeous. Plenty of red-winged parrots. Also a grey-headed honeyeater on this Grevillea wickham-hammy shrub. And an abundance of plumed honeyeaters. And also social zebra finches. What do you got? What do you got?
This little dragon lizard.
Oh!
It's a little ringtail dragon. A little Ctenophorus slatery, I think they're called now. Man, he's small. He was just sitting in amongst these rocks here. Perfect camouflage. Look at that. Like, look at the colour compared to the rocks.
Wow. So he's just curled up alongside
Yeah,
this.
he's just literally curled
Not even
up,
under one.
Not under it, like crouched down alongside it. Like maybe he'd spent the night there.
Oh, jeez.
Incredible.
You weren't even looking for something.
No, I'm looking to photograph. Amazing though. So obviously he's a baby. They get quite a bit bigger than this. And to be honest, I haven't caught a lot of these guys because when they're at temperature, they're really fast. But yeah, so a little Ctenophorus, little ringtail dragon. That's pretty cool. Initially I thought it might have been a little baby central netted dragon, but this is not really central netted country here. It's really rocky, and central netteds dig burrows. Then there is no way that they're going to burrow into this stuff. It's there's just rock everywhere. So that's a really, really cool find. Another specimen to photograph.
Have a look at this, our fifth Aki. And this one's huge.
He's a big one.
Look at that. He's lovely.
He is.
Geez, he's like almost twice the size of the other one.
He is, yeah, like that. That's definitely a mature one.
So here was the rock
Yeah.
he was under.
You can see the size of the rock.
We'll put it back into its place. place.
We will. We'll get that back in. We're going to
Keeping us busy.
pushing it right to the end.
We leave tomorrow morning.
Yeah, we'll do them this afternoon. Hey, buddy. So today was really successful. We got 2 scores in one day today. These are 2 examples of pygmy monitors or smaller varanids found in the Mount Isa district. My little guy here, he's tiny, all right. He's a little Staw's monitor, Varanus story ocreatus.
And it's an adult, by the way. And this one's also an adult, and it's the ridge-tailed monitor, Varanus acantharus. So good.
Awesome. Check them out. Yeah, you're a barrel. Oh, yeah, Daniel. Boo.
All right.
All right, you take the lizard.
Okay, time for this big fella to go back under the rock where it came from. All right, here we go. There's your entrance at the back bank. Oh, chose the Spino instead. I'll find the rock, it's just there.
Okay, so that concludes our week-long trip, winter trip to Mount Isa, looking for various reptiles.
It has been such hard work, hey?
It has. We estimate somewhere between 3,000 and 5,000 rocks have been turned in that duration. But look, it has actually been quite an interesting one. I've only ever been here in the heat of summer. Some really good species, some new species even for me.
So we didn't find too many snakes, only one little mini blind snake, but so many lizards.
Yeah, lots and lots of lizard species. Quite a few monitors, skinks, agamids, very few geckos because we weren't doing any night work, it's just getting too cool. But yeah, looking forward to getting home, processing some images, see what we came up with.
All right, cool. And that's a wrap.